너무 그 북한에 가고 싶다. 뭐 말도 안 통한다. 막 이런 생각이 많이 들더라고요. 그래서
Ich nenne mich Deutsch, weil andere es mir verweigern, mich Deutsch zu nennen.
Être l'homme, c'est la pire chose. C'est très difficile.
I'm in Paris, France. I've come to a little forest on the outskirts of the city. I'm here to meet a young woman struggling to figure out who she is. One of the 3 people we'll be talking to during the show. I follow a path down to a little camp, tucked away here on the edge of one of Europe's most expensive cities. The place looks deserted. No one comes out to meet me, but I can hear noises and voices coming from the huts. There are no names or numbers to tell me who lives where. So it's up to me to look for Alina, the young woman I'm here to meet.
Hello.
Hello.
C'est toi, Alina?
Oui.
Bonjour.
Allez-y, entrez.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Ça va?
Oui. Et vous, ça va?
Oui. Tu es malade?
Oui, je suis un peu malade.
Oh. Et qu'est-ce qu'il y a?
Ben, j'ai très mal au dos. J'ai fait la fièvre, j'ai mal dans... ici.
Alina lives here with her boyfriend. Her parents and her 2 sons live next door. Like everyone here, she's a member of the ethnic Roma minority. She tells me it's living like this in the camp that makes her feel ill.
Tout. Tout, ça veut dire que la saleté, les conditions de vivre. Parce que même si la baraque elle est couverte avec des choses comme ça fait toujours même froid.
Et ça fait combien de temps que tu vis comme ça?
Ça fait 4 ans. Mais j'ai toujours mal à m'habituer, quoi.
Ils ne font pas ça. Personne n'est prêt à l'avouer, mais on sait très bien comment ça se passe en réalité.
Ich seh die auf der Straße, voller Wut, voller Hass, voller Rage. Wir haben verlernt, einander zu lieben, statt uns Liebe zu geben, sind wir uns am Bekriegen. Körper werden geboren, doch folgen den Scheitern. Unsere Brüder sind verloren, landen auf der schiefen Bahn. Denk an deine Zukunft und bist zu klug für den Knast. Lass uns Vorbilder sein, Bruder. Wissen ist Macht, Halt, die Aziz sind wir alle. Gegen Gewalt, Halt, wir sind alle Aziz also. Stopp die Gewalt, stopp die Gewalt, stopp die Gewalt.
I meet Amin, an aspiring rapper and social activist. He was born in Germany to Egyptian parents and split his childhood between his parents' homeland and the country he was born in. I've come to Cologne to find out his story. Amin says he faced prejudice and discrimination because of his heritage and his faith. Even though he is a German citizen with a German passport, he keeps getting asked where he is from.
Ich finde das mittlerweile eine Unverschämtheit zu fragen, woher jemand kommt. Diese Frage hat sich für mich irgendwie erledigt, die stellt man nicht mehr, es ist unhöflich.
Amin grew up in a diverse neighborhood where German supermarkets border Turkish cafes and Middle Eastern delis. He says tight-knit immigrant communities like this one are both a blessing and a curse.
Das Viertel, in dem du aufwächst, ist wie Treibsand. Weißt du, du versuchst rauszukommen, aber es gibt immer Leute, die sagen, ey nein, bleib hier, bleib dumm, entwickel dich weiter. bleib mit uns, damit auch die wiederum nicht allein sein wollen. Und halt derjenige, der es aus seinem Viertel rausschafft, der hat's geschafft.
Amin says many Germans can't see past his Egyptian roots. He is constantly reminded that his family is not from Germany. Like many others, he struggled from a young age to find his place amid the labels.
Immer dieses Identitätsproblem. Ja, bin ich jetzt Deutscher oder bin ich jetzt Türke oder bin ich dies oder das? Das ist ja auch ein Ding, wenn du diesen Konflikt hast, kannst du dich ja nicht positiv oder gesund weiterentwickeln. Weil du hast ja immer diese Angst.
Fear is something that Alina and other Roma living in illegal camps in France know all too well. From 2012 to 2013, the number of evictions more than doubled. Already this year, almost 11,000 Roma have been removed from their homes by French authorities. Alina works as a volunteer, helping others living in camps. She translates for those who don't speak French, makes them doctor's appointments, and registers kids for school. Alina says it was back in Romania that she first realized she was different.
J'avais 12 ans quand j'étais à l'école et j'étais la seule Rome dans toute ma classe. Tous les enfants ils disaient ah elle est Rome, elle est nanani comme ça. Vous approchez pas d'elle parce qu'elle a des poux, je sais pas, des choses comme ça. Après j'ai arrêté l'école.
I'm shocked to see not only the level of poverty some Roma experience right here in the French capital, but also how cut off they are from society.
Et tu as l'impression que les Français, par exemple, ils savent beaucoup sur les Roms, sur la culture et tout ça?
Ils savent qu'est-ce que ça montre à la télé. Mais ils ne savent pas vraiment les choses qui sont vraiment... En fait, ils savent que des choses mal.
Only bad things? I want to find out what other people really think about one of Europe's most disadvantaged minorities.
Nous, on fait un reportage sur la situation des Roms en France. Vous savez
ne m'en parlez pas. Moi, je suis du sud de la France et je viens ici et c'est une honte ce qu'on voit.
Pourquoi?
Parce qu'il ne devrait pas exister ça. Une capitale merveilleuse comme la France, comme Paris, avoir tout ce monde-là ici, c'est affreux.
Moi aussi, je les vois traiter leurs enfants. Pourquoi pas aller travailler comme tout le monde qui sont là et de mieux éduquer leurs enfants comme nous.
C'est à eux de vouloir s'intégrer aussi et puis de faire des efforts, je pense, pour s'intégrer à notre population. C'est pas à nous de forcément se plier à leurs règles et à leurs...
Most Roma come from Romania and Bulgaria. As EU citizens, they have the right to live in France. Alina has joined a program for young Roma volunteers. It's designed to help them find their place in life.
C'est la question de la projection. Et la projection, c'est ce qui permet de se construire. Si on ne peut pas se projeter, ben on ne se construit pas. Voilà, ces jeunes, ils se font de bric à brac. Donc voilà, nous, on essaye d'insérer un petit peu une mesure de moyen terme, de long terme. Et c'est vraiment ça qui est vraiment difficile.
Il y a des jeux et tout ça, il y a des grands jeux.
I've come to South Korea to meet someone who came here to find a better future. In 2009, she escaped from North Korea and has started a new life here in Seoul.
Hello. 안녕하세요. Hi. Hello. Hi. Hi. Nice to meet you. Hello. Nice to meet you. Hi. 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. 네.
Ka-yeon lives in an apartment paid for by the South Korean government. It's small, but she's tried to make it feel like home. When she left North Korea, she couldn't take any of her belongings with her.
Thank you.
In order to protect their families in North Korea, many defectors changed their names. Ka-yeon is a new name as well.
그냥 한민족이라고만 생각하고 떠났어요. 그래서 언어도 같고 모든 게 다 같다라고 생각을 했는데 모든 게 다 다르다는 생각이 막 들더라고요. 그러니까 저는 탈북자들은 그냥 일 못하고 적응도 못하는 사람이라고 항상 이렇게 마음에 있나 봐요. 그래서 그런 편견이 좀 있다고 볼 수 있는 것 같아요. 그래서 항상 탈북자들을 만나면 그냥 이렇게 좀 문제 있는 사람으로만 많이 바라봐주는 것 같아요. 그래서 거기 좀 안타까운 것 같아요.
Ka-yeon is one of 25,000 North Korean defectors living in South Korea. The most common escape route is through China, since crossing the border that separates the two Koreas is nearly impossible.
There are so many Ka-yeon.
A half-hour's drive north of Seoul, I get my first glimpse of the electrified fence. By defecting, Ka-yeon thought she could help her family financially. What she didn't know was that once she crossed the border, there would be no turning back and no safe way to contact her family. To my surprise, the border is a big tourist attraction as well. A lot of tour groups and school classes come here every day. It's the closest Ka-yeon has come to North Korea since the day she left.
저는 일단은 뭐 한국에 왔으니까 한국 사람이라고 생각을 하는데 뭐 전문가나 주위 사람들이 많이 탈북자라고 많이 불러주시니까 탈북자의 정체성을 많이 가지려고 하는 것 같습니다.
It feels weird standing here, looking down on the most isolated country in the world. I wonder how it is for Ka-yeon, seeing her home country right across the river.
지금 현재에서는 그냥 부모님이 저기 와 계셨으면 좋겠다. 그래서 이 망원경을 한번 볼 수 있으면 좋겠다라는 생각이 들어요. 제가 생각하기엔 죽지 않았나라는 생각을 많이 했을 것 같아요. 왜냐면 연락도 안 되지, 나간 지 지금 3년도 넘었지 하기 때문에 어디 가서 죽지 않았나라는 생각을 많이 할 것 같아요.
Every year, around 2,000 to 3,000 North Koreans defect to the south. In the last 2 years, that number has gone down due to stricter controls on North Korea's border to China. The buffer zone between the two countries stretches on for 250 kilometers, the so-called demilitarized zone. Despite the name, it's the most heavily armed border in the world and a popular sightseeing destination, at least on this side.
Thank you, sir. Amin takes me to see the jazz school where he developed an interest in music.
So this is where you got your start with...
Pursuing his dream of a rap career, he began traveling. Going from place to place, he began to wonder, where do I belong?
Das aber viele halt immer noch machen. Und was auch immer die Medien immer so reindrücken, so, ja, was ist Heimat, was ist Heimat? Und dann fängst du an zu grubeln. Ja, ist jetzt Türkei meine Heimat oder Deutschland? Ist jetzt die Heimat meiner Eltern meine Heimat? Und Heimat ist halt kein Land, kein Standpunkt, es ist halt ein Gefühl.
One home for Amin is his faith. But being a Muslim in Germany hasn't always been easy. He says 9/11 forced him to readdress Islam's role in his life.
Nach den Anschlägen vom 11. September hieß es dann so, bist religiös. Ja, der Umgangston wurde halt, auch die Blicke wurden halt ganz anders. Und man musste sich halt dann immer wieder rechtfertigen, warum man Moslem ist und dass halt die Religion, zu der man angehört, nicht gewalttätig ist und halt eine friedliche Religion ist.
Back in France. I've joined a group of Roma children and volunteers on a trip to the seaside in Normandy. For many kids, it's their first time ever at a beach. Not all of them go to school in France, so for some, this is a rare chance to experience life outside the camp. Alina is 24. She left her home in Romania at 15 and got pregnant shortly after. She now has 2 sons. Parenting didn't come naturally. While Alina was moving between countries, she had to leave the boys with her parents in Romania and sometimes didn't see them for months.
Quand je parlais sur l'internet avec eux, je ne pouvais pas les voir, mais Sophie et Is pouvaient me voir. Et pour moi, c'était tellement difficile que... Voilà. Quand même, je suis maman, sont mes enfants et j'aime beaucoup, beaucoup. Je donnais même ma vie pour eux.
The Yamyang School in Seoul is a special school for North Korean defectors. Most of the students have a lot of catching up to do when they arrive in South Korea. In order to keep up with the highly competitive education system, the school prepares them for university life and South Korean life in general.
This is a traditional classroom of our school.
Many of the students are traumatized. They've left their relatives behind and have no family to depend on here.
We don't want to make them leave, like if they wanted to stay here, that's fine.
They don't like to show their face.
The school tries to give them a sense of security, as well as teach them things they're not used to, like making their own decisions or speaking up for themselves.
그래서 그 그룹은 남한 사람들이 볼 때는 좀 불쌍한 사람이지만 그렇지만 그렇게 높은 그룹이라기보다는 조금 도와줘야 되는 그룹으로 인식되고 또 그 사람들도 스스로 그렇게 생각하면서 생기는 어떤 낮은 소속감이랄까 아니면 낮은 정체감 이런 게 좀 있을 것 같기도 합니다.
Ka-yeon's way of coping with her struggles is playing basketball and writing poems. She didn't go to a special school. She studied hard and got a scholarship for one of the top universities in Seoul. But she still has a tough time adapting to a whole different system and making friends at university.
농구할 때만은 좀 내가 활발한 성격이 되지 않을까라는 생각. 그래서 만약 대학에서도 막 뭐 물어보잖아요. 뭐 자기소개 팀이 모일 때 자기소개서 해봐 하면 저 첫인상을 보면 되게 내성적이고 말 안 하게 생겼대요. 근데 제가 저희 취미는 농구입니다 하면 아 진짜요? 막 이미지랑 안 어울린다고 많이 얘기를 해주시고 되게 활발하긴데요 라고 이렇게 기억해 주거든요.
Still, she feels isolated on campus. At 27, Ka-yeon's a lot older than her classmates. In Korean culture, older people usually pay for their younger friends' food and drink. Since she doesn't have much money, it's another obstacle holding her back.
Amin gives workshops to teach young people social skills and self-respect. The project is called Rap for Respect.
So, seid ihr bereit? Das ist sehr ermutigend. Solange ich nicht dieses Ich kann das nicht höre, ist alles gut.
The teenagers Amin is working with today have parents from different countries. They have one thing in common though. They are all German.
Auf keinen Fall, okay?
You told me that now that you often call yourself German, you say you are German. Was it difficult to make that choice to start saying that because of that initial experience you had?
Ich nenne mich Deutsch, weil andere es mir verweigern, mich Deutsch zu nennen. Es ist auch eine Art Provokation. Wenn jetzt ein Deutscher zu mir kommt und ich sage, woher kommst du? Ich sage, ich bin Deutsch. Und dann, ja, aber wirklich, dann sage ich, nein, ich bin Deutsch. Ich gebe halt demjenigen nicht die Plattform. Ich nehme mir die Freiheit, mich so zu nennen. Ob es für mich leicht war, Nein, ich musste lange reflektieren, viel nachdenken und letztendlich traue ich mir das selber zu, das zu sagen. Ich habe den Mut dazu, zu sagen, dass ich Deutscher bin.
And it's that type of courage Amin wants to get across.
Und jetzt nach vorne.
Ich mache Karriere und überall
Amin hopes to help his participants respect themselves and earn the respect of others. A desire for respect is one of the driving forces in Amin's life. He says labels like migrant or immigrant prevent people like him from succeeding and being taken seriously as members of society.
Perfekt, Leute. Den Respekt habt ihr euch verdient. Den Respekt habt ihr euch verdient und auch eine Pause zum Essen.
Back in the Roma camp in Paris, there's also music this time. It's a completely different atmosphere compared to my first visit. It's Alina's 25th birthday, and she's invited family and friends to celebrate. I can feel a strong sense of community here. And despite all the hardships, Alina has not lost her spirit. I still wonder how living on the margins of society has shaped how she sees herself.
Moi, je sais qu'est-ce que j'ai dans ma tête et je sais que je vais réussir faire quelque chose dans ma vie. Mais pour l'instant, pour l'instant, c'est difficile parce que là, parce qu'il y a des jours quand je ne réussis pas quelque chose, je dis oui, c'est vrai. Qu'est-ce que les autres ils disent et tout ça, on n'est pas capable de faire quelque chose dans la vie et tout ça.
When I ask Alina what her life would look like in a perfect world, she says she would be living in the United States. I hope that she doesn't stop dreaming and that life will someday get easier for her.
During my visit to Korea, everyone is preparing for Chuseok, a harvest festival and massive 3-day celebration. During this national holiday, Koreans travel to their ancestral villages, gather with their families, and share traditional food. For Ka-yeon, this time of year is especially hard. One essential part of the celebration is the traditional dress the women wear when they go to see their families, the hanbok. It's the first time Ka-yeon has ever worn one, since she never had enough money to buy a hanbok in North Korea.
How would your mother react if she would see you like this? 되게 이게 선생님들이 사주는 거잖아요. 엄마는 너무 아파하지 않을까라는 생각을 해요. 한 번도 이렇게 예쁜 옷을 못 사줘가지고 더 마음 아파하지 않을까라는 생각이 들어요.
While others are preparing the traditional feast and setting out pictures of family members, Ka-yeon visits a Buddhist temple. She prays for her mother not to starve, so that one day they can meet again. Ka-yeon hopes that North and South Korea will someday be reunited. It's the one thing that keeps her going and makes it possible for her to adapt to her new life in the South.
나의 모습은 조금 북한이 잘 어울리지 않나라는 생각이 들어요. 왜냐하면 가족이랑 함께 있으니까 좀 안정된 생활을 하거든요. 근데 저는 사실 한국에 와 있어 생활하니까 이렇게 사회 시선들이 되게 이렇게 어떻게 좀 나쁘게 봤을까라는 두려움이 사실 있어요. 내 개인적으로.
Despite her difficulties, Ka-yeon appreciates that here in the South, at least she has the chance to figure out who she is. And I wish that one day she'll be able to share that with her family.
행신도 성묘한 일이 설신